Welcome to the Communication Diva Podcast, episode 138. The subject of this episode is attitude in the workplace. Whatever.
Welcome to the Communication Diva Podcast. I'm your host, Jen Swanson, and this is the show that helps you to get the job, to love your work, and to advance your career through better and more effective communication. Well, it's the height of summer as I record this, and our province is in the middle of a wildfire crisis like it has not seen before. We've had almost 600,000 hectares of forest and land burned, and thousands of people are out of their homes under evacuation orders, and many, many more are under evacuation alerts. It's tinder dry out there. And where we are, which is several hours away from where the actual fires are, there is a thick smoke hanging in the air. And it's making it really difficult to see, and it's making everyone's eyes itch, and it's hard to breathe. We've had some friends here this past week from Austin, Texas, friends who haven't been in our part of the world before. And so we were touring them around the city, and we kept saying, around the city of Vancouver in beautiful British Columbia, Canada, and we kept saying, really, there are mountains. We really do have amazing scenery. It's as if someone has erased the backdrop of scenery that we're so used to and frankly a little bit blasé about because we take it so much for granted, which is something to remember. It's as if someone has wiped it away, erased it, and replaced it with this browny white misty canvas. It's bizarre. If you follow me on Twitter or Instagram, you'll have seen at least one of my pictures of a harbor with boats and with a creepy red sun. And it isn't sunset in that picture. It's still a couple of hours before sunset, but it looks like it is sunset with the way the sun is. On one of the days that we were touring around, we were having a cool drink on a patio in Stanley Park. Stanley Park is our crowning jewel of a park in the city of Vancouver. And I was taken by the attitude of one of the servers that we had in that little cafe that we were sitting in. We had asked her to wipe off a table we were about to sit in outside, and then we went off to order our drinks, and she did wipe it off. And a little bit later on, we saw her again, and my friend, my visitor from Texas, my friend, was sitting there, and she turned around and called out to her and said, "Oh, thank you, by the way, for wiping the table. We appreciate it." And the young woman barely looked at her and said, "Oh, yeah," and then walked away. She didn't say it in a rude way, but it came across as less than professional in a service industry job, But what it did was it spoke to me about attitude. And it seemed, as the French would say, laissez-faire, or an I don't really care attitude. She didn't say no problem. She didn't say you're welcome. She just said, "Oh, yeah," and walked away. And it kind of left those of us at the table raising our eyebrows as our friend turned around and shrugged, and we just kept on with our conversation. So that's where the inspiration came from for today's topic. I also have an entire chapter 2, of the book that I wrote, What They See, How to Stand Out and Shine in Your New Job. I have an entire chapter dedicated to attitude. So most of today's show information will come from that. I want to talk about attitude in general. Then I want to talk about the attitudes of humility, of gratitude, and of generosity. And then I want to end by talking about the ability and the willingness to learn. And as usual, I'm focusing on the workplace, but I really believe that these topics are important in all areas of life, not just when you're at work. And if we are about the business of self-awareness and self-growth when it comes to communication, which I believe we are here at Communication Diva, then this can only be helpful. So let's jump in. And I'm talking about attitude being everything. There are many benefits to having a positive attitude. That's the attitude we want to have. There are benefits for you and for the people that you work with. Attitude is actually contagious. People are drawn more easily and more readily to people who are positive and happy on a consistent basis. And you might know somebody in your life who is a positive influence, who has a positive outlook, who has a positive attitude. And you might know that you are drawn to that person a little bit more than you might be to some other people. Somebody who's happy and positive, not in a fake way, but in a genuine, real way. People who have positive attitudes appear more confident, they appear more competent, and they appear more successful. People who are optimistic, who are hopeful, who are constructive, tend toward creative thinking, have higher energy, and feel more motivated. It's fun. It's fun and energizing to be around somebody who has positive energy. So again, I'm not suggesting that you need to be false in your attitude if you're not somebody who has a consistently positive attitude, but rather that you take some time to notice what attitude that you naturally default to, and then decide whether or not you want to improve upon it. Maybe you don't have to. Maybe you already default on the side of the positive, and even if you do, there will still be opportunity for you to grow and develop your skills, particularly if you're working with a coworker who doesn't share your sunny disposition. A bad attitude can be bad for business. Here are two common experiences that we've all encountered. You walk into a store and the person behind the customer service desk treats you with almost hostility or disdain, as if you're interrupting their day, as if, why are you bothering them? Has that ever happened to you? Instead of you being the valuable client or customer, you're made to feel like you're interrupting them, you're wasting their time. That's one experience. Another one is you walk into a store where the salesperson greets you immediately, asks you how your day is going, and seems genuinely interested to help you. Now, how does that make you feel? Well, based on how you're treated and how it makes you feel, which store do you think you would shop in more often? Attitude is a very potent and very important part of the communication mix, and it has everything to do with how professionally you come across to others. So being just aware of the attitude that you're projecting and trying to make it a more positive attitude when you walk in the office door, even if you've had a horrible start to your day, can make a difference to how others react to you, how others communicate with you, and how others perceive you to be in your job. And I said before that people who are positive tend to seem more confident and more competent. Maybe that's not true, but it's how you are perceived. And so that can be to your advantage. You might be wondering, what if you have had a horrible day? What can you do about that? If you've had a horrible day, then one of the ways to manage that is to be honest about it. It's perfectly okay to tell your boss or your manager or your coworkers that you're not feeling great that day and that you've had a rough start. You don't need to go into great detail. Your coworkers will understand because everybody's had a bad day. And you might be quieter than usual that day. But as long as you're not snapping or snarling at other people, they are, after all, innocent bystanders. As long as you're not doing that, then you should be able to carry on with your work and still come across as professional. But blessing the rest of the world with your misery is pretty inappropriate and a very quick way to appear to be unprofessional. If you've had a really bad day, or you find you often have a negative day or a negative attitude at work, then there are things that you can do. Some people might suggest that you fake it and that you pretend you're in a good mood until eventually you are. And this might not work all the time, and it won't work for the long term. That whole idea of fake it till you make it, I really firmly believe in fake it till you become it. And if you can't become it, then you need to do something different. I don't know about the fake it till you make it. It's really easy to spot fake positive attitudes in people. You can be honest about not feeling good to the right crowd, to the right people. You don't want to tell all of your clients and your customers that you've had a bad day, but it's okay to be honest with those that you're working with, and to be a little bit quieter. But it doesn't mean you need to be snarly and snapping at other people because of whatever it is that has happened to you. So if something really serious is going on, the best action, of course, is to ask somebody for help. But for most of us, when it's not something serious, the key to changing a negative attitude into a positive one is to figure out what's causing the bad attitude in the first place. Why are you having such a hard time? So I've got a few questions that you might ask yourself. And these questions, there's 7 questions, and these questions are questions for you to ponder, for you to think about if you feel like you're having a hard time, or if you feel like you have a bad attitude most of the time, if that's your default. So here they are. Number 1, does your less than positive attitude have anything to do with your job? Number 2, do you really like this job? Is this job worth it? Number 3, is there something realistic you can do about who or what's bothering you? And if yes, what would the first step be? Number 4, once you notice your poor attitude, can you make a conscious choice to take a break from the negativity and focus on the task at hand? This is not always possible, but it's a really good question to ask yourself. So I'll repeat that because it is a good question. Once you notice your poor attitude, can you make a conscious choice to take a break from the negativity and focus on the task at hand? It's a choice. Can you make the decision that I'm going to focus on what I have to do and not focus so much on what is negative? Question 5, is the story you are telling yourself about being in a bad mood and having a bad day or year or life really true? Is it true? Is it a true story your brain is telling itself? Or is it your brain making things more dramatic than they actually are, which the brain so often tends to do? Is the story true? Number 6, what good things have happened to you today that you can focus on instead? Make a list and look at it. You woke up this morning, for one thing. The cute barista smiled at you as she made your morning latte. You made it to work on time with no accidents. You have a paying job to go to. There are likely many, many things to be grateful for, and it can be really helpful to list them, to count them, and to pay attention to them. And we'll talk more about that in a minute. Number 7 is ask yourself what you are gaining by having a bad attitude. What do you get out of it? Ask yourself what you might be losing because of it. Are you losing social contact? Do people not want to talk to you or hang out with you anymore because of it? What do you get out of it? Does it make you feel good in some way? It's an exploratory question. And these are good journaling questions if you tend to journal or want to take a moment to really think about them and ponder them. The most professional people are those who do their jobs with a positive, pleasant attitude almost all the time. Of course, it's impossible to actually be positive and pleasant 100% of the time, and there are times when it might even be inappropriate. But aiming to present yourself that way as often as you can will get noticed in a good way. So that is attitude in general. I want to talk now about humility, gratitude, and generosity. Humility means being humble. It means you're modest in your opinion of yourself and that you give credit where credit is due. Humility means that no matter who you are or how important or rich or famous or talented you are, you're not better than other people and you're not always right. And if you listen to my episode 136, where I interviewed Alan Alda, the celebrity, I found him to be very humble. I found, he great big star. And he wasn't talking about himself in that way. He was talking about the people that he was helping and the work that he was doing. And he asked me questions, which sort of threw me off there a little bit. And you might have noticed he was amazingly humble, given all his celebrity. I interviewed another celebrity, a Canadian celebrity, who is on a national television program, and he's the man behind 4 acclaimed British Columbia-based restaurants. I think maybe 5 by now. He has an award-winning food truck. He's got his own name brand frozen food line. He's got a bunch of cookbooks published, and he's known as one of the best Indian chefs in the world. His name is Vikram Vij. And he said in our conversation that the reason he refuses to take reservations at any of his restaurants, no matter who wants to book a table, is because we all have to eat. And in that regard, as well as in many others, we're all the same. Food is the great equalizer. We all get hungry no matter who we are. We all have to eat. And he says that taking reservations is costly to a business, and in order to keep food prices affordable for everyone, anyone who's considered to be a VIP is treated exactly the same way as everyone else. He even made the Prime Minister of Canada, Pierre Trudeau, this is our current Prime Minister's father, so the former Prime Minister, he made him wait for a table like everybody else. Celebrities have to wait. And my impression of this famous, successful, and accomplished man is that he possesses humility, and I really have great respect for him because of that. So humility is a large part of being seen as professional and as a great employee. Nobody likes somebody who toots their own horn, or who brags incessantly about how brilliant they are. Do you know people like that? Do you know people who walk around talking about how brilliant they are all the time? It's not, I don't find it attractive in the least. It's not okay. A professional doesn't need to tell anyone that they are a professional. It will be self-evident. It's about how you conduct yourself and how you behave that speaks more loudly than the words that you use about yourself. So I think humility is something to keep in your toolbox of professionalism. I think it is a tool that will take you far. It is an attitude that will take you far. And it doesn't mean you can't be proud of your accomplishments. It doesn't mean that you can't let people know about what you are doing and what you know. It's not that at all. It's just good to be able to say out loud to others that you know how to do something, that you have the knowledge in a certain area. But it's fine to do that, but it's not about raving on and on about how amazing you are, because that's a big turnoff, and that's just simply not smart. People will start avoiding you. If you turn every conversation into one about you, people will stop talking to you. So be curious about other people. Ask them about what's happening in their lives. Listen to them and listen to what they say so you can remember and ask about it later. People are interested in other people. People who are interested in other people are the most interesting people themselves. So being humble means a lot of things. It means being interested in those around you, not being self-absorbed. It means acknowledging others who've had a role in something that you have done. So if someone else has helped you in a project you've done at work, make sure they're acknowledged. Make sure they get some of the praise as well. Share the glory. Give credit where credit is due. Accept compliments graciously and say thank you often. So those are some of my recommendations for having an attitude of humility. Another one is gratitude. And in my humble opinion, there's not enough gratitude going on in the workplace or anywhere for that matter. If somebody does something nice for you, thank them. If you notice someone doing an excellent job, compliment them on it. If somebody does you a favor, be grateful. Send them a little note. Send them a real, through the real mail if you want to impress somebody. Or virtual, which is faster and easier, but not quite as chic. And thank people who have helped you with the things that have helped move you forward in your career. Say thank you to the bus driver, to the person who delivers the mail, the person who makes your morning coffee, the person who stocks your grocery shelves and helps you to find something. Words are extremely powerful. And sometimes using them to express that for which you are grateful will make more of a difference in the world than you can imagine. I worked for 3 years in a busy emergency department at the hospital I worked at for 23 years. It was understaffed, had very little space. It was the only hospital in a growing seaside community that was near the Canada-US border, and it had a railway line running through it. There was a large retired population in the town, and more families were moving in because it was actually more affordable than right downtown Vancouver. So we were a very busy emergency department. There was a much bigger hospital not that far away, about 20 minutes away, that would take some of the more serious cases. But because we were right by the sea, right by a railroad, right by the border, we got an awful lot of traffic and an awful lot of people coming in. And we got everything from heart attacks to near drownings to train accidents to drug smugglers coming in with the border guards to quote unquote relieve themselves of their evidence. It was absolutely a busy place. And so one night, it was really late after a really hard and emotionally heavy shift. We had a lot of deaths. We had really sick people. The emergency room doctor called us all together, and I'll never forget this, called us all together in the nursing station. And it was probably 11:30 at night, 11 o'clock at night. It was late, and we were all exhausted. And he looked each one of us in the eye, and he said something like this: "Tonight was insane. We all worked really hard. I want each of you to know that I appreciate working with you. We make a great team. I want you to know that together we did good work tonight, and we made a difference. Thank you." Out of all the shifts I did in my 23 years of working in the hospital system, that one moment stands out among the best. And why? It still gets me choked up. It's because it was heartfelt, it was spontaneous, it was welcomed, and it was real. This doctor gave us a gift of gratitude, and we went home at nearly midnight feeling satisfied that we'd done our best in a really tough situation, and that as hard as it was, physically and emotionally, we had somehow made a difference. So say thank you often and mean it. It's important, and I believe it can actually change your life. So practicing gratitude is a skill like anything else. Practicing being grateful is a muscle that can be built up with repetition. If your default is negativity, then every time you notice yourself complaining or about to complain, balance it out with making a list, even if you do it just in your head, of something you're glad and grateful about. Keep a list somewhere of visible things in your life that you're thankful for. You can journal about it at the end of each day, even if it's just a bulleted list of 3 to 5 things that happened that day that you're grateful for. If there are people on the list that you're grateful for, maybe let them know about it. That's gratitude. And it's actually a practice, a very important practice that I think more and more people are learning about and are adding to their lives, whether you want to look at it as a spiritual practice or not. It can really help to shift your attitude in the workplace and at home. I want to talk about being generous. Professionals are generous with what they know. Hoarding information for personal gain is not the sign of a real professional. Sharing information and being generous with it will prove that you're confident in who you are and in what you do, and will always serve you better in the end. I don't earn an income from making this podcast, and a lot of people are surprised by that. One podcast episode can take me 6 hours to produce by the time I research it, write it, record it, and then edit it, and then put all the music and everything in it, and get my intro voice to do his thing, and write the show notes and put it all out there. It takes hours to put this out every week. And at this point, I am not earning an income from the podcasting itself. It opens doors. It does an awful lot of things, but I am doing it because I want to help people in becoming better in their communication. Because when you communicate more effectively and more clearly, your life just gets better. And so I'm sharing the information and being generous with it. This is episode 138. I do have a book. I do have courses that I earn money from, but the podcast itself is not monetized. You don't pay for it. And so it's sharing what you have and sharing what you know with people. Because generosity doesn't only mean money. If you stay after work to help somebody with a computer problem, you're being generous with your time. If you go out of your way to offer someone a compliment on something they did, you're being generous. If you know how to do something and you offer to show another person what you know, or you train a new employee and help them do things better and faster and more efficiently, then you're being generous. If you know they're allergic to gluten like I am, bake them a gluten-free cake. You'll be amazing. So generosity is not just about money. It's about so many more things. And in the workplace, that can make a real difference. And the last thing I wanted to talk to you about is an ability and a willingness to learn. I once asked a man in an interview setting how much continuing education time he thought he might need. And he very arrogantly crossed his legs and he said, "I've got my doctorate. I'm done with learning." Needless to say, I wasn't impressed. I don't think we are ever, quote unquote, done with learning. Ever. I know I'm not. I know people who are in their 80s and 90s, and I even know someone who's 103 and she says she's not done with learning. There's always something new that will come along that can make your job better, that could make it more interesting, easier, or more cutting edge. There are always courses you can take, training sessions, seminars, there are books you can read. And if it's not directly related to your work that you do, it could be about your own human self. It could be about deepening your awareness of how you behave in the world. It could be your communication. You're listening to this podcast, so you must be interested in improving your communication. Technology is constantly changing. There are techniques and policies to get updated with. There's terminology that changes. There are webinars to take in. The willingness to learn new things will keep you current and up to industry standard and even beyond. It's also really, really good for your brain because when you learn new things, you are making new neural connections and you are helping to delay or reduce the chances of dementia. So it's good for you in many ways to keep learning. If you want to think that you're done, you're eventually going to get left in the dust. So it's important to have that attitude and willingness to learn, the attitude of curiosity that will take you far. So that is what I had for you today. If you want to learn more about the book that this material comes out of, it's called What They See, How to Stand Out and Shine in Your New Job. You can come over to communicationdiva.com and look under the book tab and take a look at it. It can also be ordered on Amazon and from several different outlets as well. And if you want to order a signed copy directly from me, you can just drop me an email. I do have to include shipping in that. But if you'd like that, then just drop me an email at jenn@communicationdiva.com and we can get a book off to you. If you like this episode, please be sure to share it. I would be most grateful. The more people we can help here at Communication Diva, the happier this podcaster will be. All right, so until next time, this is Jen Swanson wishing you a wonderful and smoke-free week.